Hi there and welcome to Juicy Celeb Talks. Chris Brown and Quavo have been feuding for a while, and it has recently escalated with both men taking public jabs at each other. This feud, which has been simmering for a couple of years, exploded again a few weeks ago, with both artists throwing insults and attempting to humiliate each other through their music. Many thought the drama had died down, but after Chris Brown was arrested a few days ago, Quavo took another shot at him, mocking him for not only possibly facing jail time but also being sued for $50 million. Chris Brown, known for his sharp tongue, didn't hold back. He responded by mocking Quavo for his faltering career. These two men, known for their cheeky behavior, seem to be gearing up for another round of their chaotic beef. However, Chris Brown's anger issues might be landing him in more serious trouble. Chris Brown has a reputation for getting into fights. Despite his musical talent and success, he has a long history of conflicts. While many hoped he would mature and change, his behavior has remained problematic. Even though he has children now, he continues to get into unnecessary confrontations. Currently, he is on the 11/11 tour, and a recent incident in Fort Worth, Texas, highlighted his ongoing issues. After a light show, things took a turn for the worse backstage. For men, Larry Parker, Joseph Lewis, Charles Shrubbery, and DeMarcus Powell were invited backstage along with about 40 other people for a post-show hangout. As is typical with male artists on tour, there were women, alcohol, and partying. The four men were waiting in the VIP area for Chris to appear. After more than 30 minutes with no sign of him, they decided to leave. However, on their way out, they ran into Chris. Charles Shrubbery attempted to greet Chris, but someone in Chris' entourage reminded him of an old beef with Charles. Chris responded aggressively, ordering his crew to attack Charles. It seems that everyone in Chris' entourage is as rough as he is, which explains why he keeps getting into trouble. The people he surrounds himself with are not any better and may even be worse, as they encouraged the violence. Charles claimed he was surrounded by 7 to 10 of Chris' friends who punched and kicked him. He also claimed an escort member named Hood Boss threw a chair at his head. Charles wasn't the only one who got attacked. Larry Parker claimed that Chris sent his friend Yella Beezy and others to attack him, chasing him into a stairwell with a locked door. Parker said he was punched and kicked for over 10 minutes. The other two men also got caught in the chaos and had to go to the hospital for treatment. Now, all four men have filed a lawsuit against Chris Brown, seeking a restraining order and $50 million in damages. But why are they suing when the police have already arrested Chris? Their lawyer explained that they filed the lawsuit to seek justice for the victims and put an end to Chris Brown's intolerable and thuggish behavior. The lawyer stated that Chris Brown has a long history of violence and has been accused or arrested for assault at least 10 times. The lawsuit seeks damages on behalf of the four men to get justice and put an end to Chris Brown's unacceptable behavior. Chris Brown has a history of violent behavior that has slowed down his career. The worst part is that he never takes responsibility for his actions, insisting that people hate him for a mistake he made when he was young, referring to his assault on Rihanna in 2009. For example, last year, he went on a rant and slammed fans for hating on him, saying if people still hate him for a mistake he made at 17, they should kiss my whole entire ass. He was 33 at the time and tired of people running with the story. He also criticized the hypocrisy of people who watch shows like Blueface and Krazian but condemn him. He ended his rant by saying he doesn't care for fake love and will run over anyone who stands in his way. Comparing himself to Blueface and Krazian, who are known for their volatile relationship, Chris Brown tries to downplay his actions. But why do people still hold the Rihanna incident against him if he was just a young 17-year-old? Well, for one, he wasn't 17, he was almost 20. He was old enough to know that assaulting someone is wrong and can land you in jail. Also, Rihanna wasn't the only woman he showed his violent side to. Do you remember what happened between Chris and Teyana Taylor last year? He came close to assaulting her too. This was shocking because they used to be very close. Teyana was one of the few people who defended him when he hurt Rihanna, which caused her to lose a major brand deal. In an interview with Essence magazine, Teyana said she felt it was unfair that people jumped on different bandwagons, but she remained loyal to Chris. Even after the incident with Rihanna, she continued to support him, stating that her loyalty was with her brother, Chris. This stance put a strain on her relationship with Rihanna, leading to a messy Twitter fight. Teyana even made fun of Rihanna for getting hurt by Chris, crossing the line in her support for him. This action led to Adidas dropping her immediately, stating they don't tolerate violence of any kind. Losing a major brand deal to someone only for them to turn around and almost assault you is wild. But what made Chris turn on Teyana? Things changed after the 2022 AMAs. Chris was supposed to perform a tribute to Michael Jackson, and Teyana was part of his performance. However, she pulled out, and a few days later, the AMAs cancelled Chris' performance. This happened after the AMAs received backlash for giving Chris a platform despite his violent past. Insiders say Chris blamed Teyana for his performance being cancelled, though it's unclear why he made that judgment. The AMAs gave their own explanation, but Chris believed Teyana had something to do with it. Chris and Teyana managed to avoid each other until Usher threw a surprise birthday party for Chris. Like Teyana, Usher and Chris have a long history and have publicly shown each other support. Usher decided to throw Chris a surprise party and invited Teyana, along with other celebrities. Teyana being there would have been fine if Chris wasn't still holding a grudge. The party was going well until Chris spotted Teyana and got upset. He confronted her, and sources say he was very rude. Usher, thinking the birthday boy shouldn't be causing a scene, stepped in to calm things down. But Chris wasn't having it and ended up arguing with Usher. Chris stormed out of the party, and Usher followed him to try to resolve the issue. But outside, Chris and his crew attacked Usher, leaving him with a broken nose. This incident was beyond rude. Attacking someone who threw you a party while the party is still happening is outrageous. I love Chris, but his anger issues are out of control and often get the better of him. The day after the fight with Usher, Chris got into another physical altercation at the Lovers and Friends show. 2 fights in 2 days are just a mess. And let's not even get into his drama with his ex, Karrueche Tran, because he messed her up so badly she had to get a restraining order. In 2017, Karrueche filed court papers requesting protection from Chris, even though they had already broken up. Chris was not the kind of person to take no for an answer. In those documents, she revealed that Chris had punched her in the stomach and pushed her down a flight of stairs a couple of years before she filed for the restraining order. She didn't report it at the time because he was still on probation from the Rihanna incident and would have faced severe legal consequences. Karrueche also disclosed that Chris had threatened to kill her, saying that if he couldn't have her, no one else could. This level of toxicity is disturbing, and it's incredible that she got out when she did. Even after they broke up, Chris continued to harass her and her friends, which eventually led her to file for a restraining order against him. Karrueche is also the reason why Quavo and Chris started beefing. She began dating Quavo after leaving Chris, which made Chris jealous. Being jealous that your ex moved on after you assaulted her is some malevolent stuff. Chris hated on Quavo, and we all know Quavo isn't one to back down. In January of this year, rumors started circulating that they had settled their beef when they were spotted sitting side by side at a Fashion Week show. People began talking about how they had moved past the drama. However, Chris quickly dispelled those rumors, saying you can't choose who you sit with at these events. He went on to attack Quavo in his song Freaky, saying that messing with his old girl won't make them equal. Quavo responded by bringing up Chris' old domestic violence cases, highlighting how Chris used to put his hands on Karrueche. He said, "You did the B wrong, and now the B is gone. She posted with a thug, call the B phone, she ain't coming home. Don't beat her up, it must be the drugs." Chris Brown hates when people bring up his past incidents of domestic violence, especially with his exes. He insists he's a changed man and has exploded on social media whenever someone mentions that dark chapter of his life. So, when Quavo brought it up in a song, we all knew Chris was going to react. But no one expected him to clap back as hard as he did. Chris released a diss track aimed at Quavo called Weakest Link, and he's not even a rapper. His diss track tore Quavo apart, leaving no room for misunderstanding. Chris hit below the belt with his lyrics, accusing Quavo of being a broke rapper who's now focused on acting because no one buys his music. He also called out Quavo's issues with Saweetie, saying he tried to make her his forever lady, but she left him for his best friend. Chris didn't hold back, accusing Quavo of living off Offset and Cardi B, and when that ended, he started hopping on others' success. This diss track was filled with deep personal jabs, showcasing Chris' talent for causing drama even though he insists he's trying to change. The most intense part of the diss track was when Chris said if Quavo has time to beef, he should have time to find Takeoff's killer. This line shook everyone, especially because Quavo has been silent about Takeoff's death. As of now, Quavo hasn't responded to Chris' diss track, and many hope he doesn't. Chris has shown he's willing to take the drama as far as possible, and Quavo needs to stay out of it. This beef is escalating rapidly, and it doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. We have to wait and see what happens next, and we hope it doesn't lead to any more violence or serious issues.